What's up, guys? We are coming at you live from EWS in Zermatt, Switzerland. As you know, I'm racing EWS 100. Wanted to walk you guys through a bike check. So I've got here my 2019 Scott Genius 900 tuned. I've done a few modifications to it to make it even better for racing enduro, so I'm gonna walk you guys through that today. So from the factory, Scott spec'd this bike with a Fox 34 fork. As you can see, I've swapped it out to be a Fox 36 with the Grip 2 damper. This makes the front end stiffer and makes it really great for getting through the chunk. On top of that, Scott originally spec'd it with 150 mil travel. Now I've got 160 mil travel in the front. In the rear, it's still the Fox Nude shock that comes stock on the bike with 150 mil of travel. It's got two different settings on it, which makes it really unique. You can decide if you want it to be in a progressive mode, like a standard shock, or if you want it to be more linear, which is a pretty unique function for an air shock without a coil. I've got mine set in linear mode, and I love it. It feels so good through the chunky stuff. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention, my bike is an extra large. I'm super tall, just under 6'4", so it suits me perfectly. It's a super long bike, especially being a 29er. Really takes up all the trail, and sometimes trying to fit it into gondolas can be really interesting. We're gonna move on to the cockpit. Another thing that Scott is really known for is their twin lock remote lockout system, which you can see I've got here mounted on my handlebar. It's got two different settings, so I can keep it fully unlocked as it is currently, or I can lock it out halfway. And then if I want a full lockout, I can do that as well. The difference is with my Fox 36, I don't have the lockout running to the front of the bike onto the fork. I've only got it in the rear shock, so I can only lock out my shock remotely. Moving on from the lockout, I've got my one-up dropper, 210 mil of travel, so all the range. I freaking love it. It's insane. Usually when I take photos of my bike, it's so high up in the air, I never raise it all the way, but as you can see, 210 mil, it's no joke, and I still have more room for post. Crazy. I got some long legs. Moving inwards from the dropper, I'm running SRAM Code RSC brakes. I personally really love SRAM brakes in comparison to Shimano. RSCs have really great stopping power, great modulation, incredible lever feel. My handlebars, I'm running Raceface Next R 20mm rise carbon bars. Just recently put these on. I originally had 10mm rise bars. I wanted a little bit more rise, and I made a huge mistake. I never really thought about it before, making the switch from aluminum to carbon and it being a big deal. I switched from my 10mm carbon bars to 30mm aluminum bars, and it's not just marketing hype. You can seriously tell the difference between carbon bars and aluminum bars. So I overnighted these. I ordered them Saturday night, got them the next day, that way I could get them on before Zermatt. Now obviously here we are. I've got my carbon bars again, and they feel so much better. I'm not getting rattled to pieces through the technical rocky sections or anything like that. Of course, it's not a night and day difference, but it certainly makes a difference over the long haul in an entire day, like racing an EWS enduro. Moving on from the cockpit, I'm running a SRAM X01 drivetrain. I personally have used GX Eagle, X01 Eagle, and I love X01. You can seriously tell a difference. That being said, it costs a lot more too. So I've got an X01 shifter up front, carbon X01 cranks with a 32 tooth chain ring. And then out back, I've got an X01 cassette with an X01 derailleur that I just recently put on. If you've been following me on Instagram, you will have seen that I just recently scratched it, even though I didn't even put it on 2 weeks ago. So we got the scratch out of the way. Now we're good to go. For pedals, I'm running Shimano's XT SPDs. Really like these. They have a really nice flat, low profile design, so I find that they don't really get hung up on rocks or anything too often, and they feel really good under feet. They're also pretty lightweight, which I can certainly appreciate. Moving on to the wheels, these are just the stock Synchros wheels, aluminum rims that comes spec'd on the bike, brand new. As you can see, I'm running Minion DHR2s, EXO Plus in the rear, and then up front, I'm running Assegai, just EXO. Generally speaking, I've had really good luck running EXOs, especially in the front, and I was super excited to try out the EXO Plus rear tire. I know some guys for enduro and especially downhill, they like to run a heavier casing, but I've had pretty decent luck with tires. Don't want to jinx myself for this race. We'll see what happens. I'm also a pretty light guy. I only weigh about 160 pounds, but with that being said, I am running tire inserts as well, front and rear. For inserts, I'm running Rimpact tire inserts. I personally love it. I think the design is phenomenal. Does a really great job with keeping the sidewall nice and stiff, and also gives good puncture protection and protects my wheels. I really like it. They recently came out with a Rimpact Pro model. So far with my standard Rimpacts, they've been doing the job. and I have no complaints whatsoever. And then of course, we're here racing EWS 100, so I want to tell you about how I got my bike set up for doing the race and making sure I've got all the tools and everything that I need with me. So as you may have seen, when I was going over my cockpit, I've got the 1UP EDC tool hidden right here in my stem. So it's got everything that I need in regards to an Allen key, and it's also got a chain tool right hidden in here, which is awesome. And a handy little storage container down here if I wanted to store any additional tire plugs or anything like that. Like I said, I've got Dynaplug tire plugs that I primarily use for punctures, and I just shove the plug in there in order to seal any holes. But I do have a tube with me just in case. That I've got these really sweet reusable zip ties. They've got a little button on them that I can just pull it apart and get my tube out and then zip tie anything back together that I may need. Super handy. I found them like 10 years ago. I've never seen them again since, but I absolutely love them. As you may also notice, I've got my water bottle zip tied on. Recently, in the last couple of weeks, I've just been losing bottles. I've never had any issues with my bottle cage, but for whatever reason, they've just been deciding to pop out. And so I zip tied this bottle in just to ensure that it doesn't go anywhere. It may look a little strange, but it gets the job done. All right, guys, so that is my Scott Genius bike check. I hope you enjoyed. Today is Friday. We've had amazing weather here in Zermatt. But as you can see, the clouds are starting to roll in. It looks like we're going to be getting quite a bit of rain this weekend. So we're just getting prepared to get really wet and being a little cold. We'll see how it goes. Tomorrow, Saturday, we've got practice of the 4 stages for the EWS race here in Zermatt. And then on Sunday is race day. I'm going to be pushing out a ton more content of the different trails here in Zermatt, as well as the stages. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tell me where to ride next.